Hello, my name is Emily, and this is my review of The Anomaly by Herve Tellier. I think that's pretty close. I did look it up before I did this, so I'm at least trying. So, for a quick recap of the book, there are a bunch of people that get off of a flight in March, and these people live pretty normal lives, but a lot of things happen to them because that's how time works. There are people that break up, there's one guy that dies, there's one guy that gets close to dying, there's someone that gets pregnant. There's all these things that sort of happen, and suddenly, in June, a flight comes in that is these same people, same passengers, same pilot, and not necessarily in a cloning way, but kind of. For them, it's like time travel. For them, the last thing that they remember is March, like the day that they departed. For the people that are like on the ground in June, these are copies of them from March. And the book is sort of about exploring how's life after that? How's life when there's two of you? The thing that probably stands out to me about this book the most, and one of the things that made it the most enjoyable for me to read, was the way that it's so heavily segmented. All these people's lives, a lot of them are intertwined, but they are presented so separately in these different sections that are oftentimes, they aren't chapters, they're only a couple of pages long, and I feel as if it's a very interesting way to sort of hop around in a story like this, that all of the hopping around can make it feel sort of erratic, but at the same time it really highlights what's similar about all of these different stories. And I think that's very cool. This book has a premise and explores it in as many ways as possible, tries to cover as much ground as it can, and there are cases in which I think that would be a flaw, in which that could feel very unorganized. But I feel as if this does it in a way where instead of feeling unorganized, it feels like it's just answering questions that you have about this entire situation. Not that it doesn't still have mystery, but that it kind of lets you see all of the ways this is affecting something. It can be sort of disappointing when a book introduces a world that's very interesting, but it only explores one aspect. That can work, but if that aspect is not explored well, the whole book feels like a missed opportunity. And this does not feel like a missed opportunity. It feels like good. It feels good. One of the things I do earnestly like the most about this book is the diversity of its cast. Excuse me as I handle this book in as many ways as I possibly can. The main reason that I actually picked this book up was because of reading the back and seeing all these different people, and perhaps a little bit embarrassingly, I read the words Nigerian gay pop star and I was immediately sold. Listen, man, I'm a young person. Do you know what it's like trying to find books with queer characters in them when you are a young person? You're going to read so much sports fiction, even though you don't care about football, you don't care about soccer, you don't care about hockey, and you do not care about high schoolers. And so, in that situation, it can be a little bit refreshing to see a gay character in a book that is absolutely not about being gay. I'm not saying books can't be about being gay. I'm just saying that I cannot read another set of high schoolers that are like, my problems are so awful. I don't care. Get a job. Get me a job. I'm still looking for one. I got this book when I was interviewing for the library and they didn't accept me. Going back to the characters, I just think that they're all very compelling. Not necessarily in the way that it's like, the whole book should have been about them, but I feel like they deserve the time that they get. Except Adrian, who I don't like. Listen, it's not really that Adrian makes the book worse because he doesn't, and I actually can kind of see how he ties in with the whole theme of identity as someone that doesn't really have one, but I think that he is a little bit underdeveloped, but more importantly, I think that he's a bad representation of the book, and yet it starts on him instead of one of the other characters. All of the other characters in this book are somewhat normal. The most weird people in this book are usually just rich people that have more stardom than you or I ever would. And it's assassins do exist, but it's not really that relatable, especially this guy. It's not that I think that you need to be relatable to be a good book protagonist. I just think that for this book, it's a bit of a weird choice is all. On the topic of things I didn't completely like, I think the book could have dived a little bit more into the public reaction specifically to cloning and not the whole simulation thing. There's one part in which one person from March and one person from June goes on the Stephen Colbert show, and it definitely establishes that public awareness of this whole phenomenon it's there. People know that this thing has happened. And people are mad about it. There are people outside rioting in the streets. The religious aspect of reaction to this is very well explored. But I feel like it doesn't really talk about how people that are not like evangelicals would like react to this. Because obviously, if it's on Stephen Colbert, people know what's happened. But like if you are the guy that's a Christian, he has the gun, he shoots the two people, what do you think? Because it's still weird. It's still weird that this happened. I don't feel like people are only going to freak out when it's like, oh, it's a simulation, and now I'm freaking out. They're going to freak out when these two people. I just feel as if the public reaction to this whole situation was focused on, but not completely developed. Overall, I think this book is great. Maybe I seemed a little bit nitpicky in my whole review, but I don't really care. I'm just happy I'm documenting this. Maybe someone will see it one day. Who knows? If I may give one last piece of praise, I love the cover art of this book. It's not necessarily that I think it's the best representation of this book, but what it does that a lot of other cover arts at the library I was at did not do was create intrigue. This does not tell me what the book is going to be about, really. It is a sort of metaphorical piece. It's sort of abstract, but it tells you a little bit about the mood, and it makes you want to read the back and see what it's actually about, which I felt is sort of lacking in a lot of books that have like big author title, big title of book, but not really much else. It's like kind of every genre looks like that, and it doesn't tell me a lot about your book. I think this one excels in that way, in that it has a cover that feels unique but doesn't tell you too much and kind of lets you be surprised, I suppose. Anyways, that's my review of The Anomaly. Don't subscribe because I don't know if I'm going to do this again.